hundreds of thousands of people right there waiting for us to come on when we announce when we're doing this show. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, what the hell's the matter with you people?
Yeah, nobody's on, so we'll cuss at you, and nobody's actually
Let's
watching.
go.
But that's all right. All right, I got a question for you. Ready?
Yeah.
The draft is coming up.
Yeah.
All right. When the draft is over, all right, because you kind of know where people are. You kind of know that what the Colts are going to do, right? When the draft is over, they're 32nd in the power rankings. You talked about it the other day. What's your best guess, or what's the ceiling on how high they can climb?
Well, it depends on the stupidity of the analyst. Because the idiot analysts are going to overreact to the marquee value of the guys who are taken.
That's a great point.
Like, I think at 4, if you take Anthony Richardson, that's a really good thing because his high end is up here. But we don't know what he's going to be. We have no idea. You can't evaluate a draft. I think it takes 3 years. I've always heard that from NFL guys. So, like when, you know.
I mean, so having said that, you know, a marquee guy, could they get to 25th? You know what I mean? like I'm saying, people are like, well, you wait till the draft. You wait till Ballard does. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
I'll wait. I've waited. We've waited. Like, when you start at 32, you need everything.
Nowhere to go but up, baby.
Because you saw that. You said that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they need a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And they need stuff at the positions you absolutely have to have in order to win.
No.
You need an edge. You need a corner, a lockdown corner. You need a quarterback.
Yeah.
Badly.
Wouldn't kill you to get a wide receiver.
No, got to have a wide receiver. I don't know how you get one of each who can really play by only utilizing the draft. And that's what they do. It's like draft or bust. And it's been bust.
All right, so that leads me to my next question. Odell Beckham Jr., apparently, according to others, because teams are courting Odell Beckham Jr., like, how are you going to replace or get the Colts to a position where, let's just say for the sake of argument, they can win their division through a wide receiver that you're not going to draft 4th, you might draft later. And why wouldn't you involve? I'm not saying you got to bring in Odell, but Odell Beckham. Why wouldn't you at least be involved in Odell Beckham?
Maybe Odell Beckham looks at the Colts. One of two things could happen, right? He could look at the roster and say, hey, I can be the ace. I can be the elite guy on this team. Or he might look and say, what the hell am I doing in my waning years? I'm going to ball out for the Colts with the 32nd best roster in the NFL. I don't know. Who else is in? You know, he could wait a few weeks into the season, see who's playing well.
He did that last year because he was injured, but he was fine by the middle of the. My thing is this: you and I have talked on this show ad nauseum about if you take Richardson, you're going to have to play Minshew. You're going to wait. Is it a win now deal? Well, if it's truly a win now deal, what you just said earlier has to be addressed. Not just quarterback, wide receiver has to be addressed.
Yeah.
Because you don't have a weapon.
My fear is that Chris Ballard thinks he did that with Isaiah McKenzie.
Oh, and Alec Pierce.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a second-year Alec Pierce.
Right. Look how good they're going to be. Did you know that Alec Pierce's brother, you know, it's always stories with these guys.
Yeah, Rock, last week you said was a wrestler. Hey, Rock, all right. Hey, how about you guard somebody? But no, my point is, I'm sitting there going, all right, you only have a limited amount of, you got OTAs, you can get better, right? You got, you know, he had a great summer. Oh, he was in the building. He had a great summer. So it's the draft, and it's free agency, it's OTAs, and it's camp.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And the truth of the matter is, you've been to camp. I've been to camp. You know, when that Caesar Rayford had the greatest camp ever and got traded, who really gives a rat's about camp? Just stay healthy.
Right.
OTAs, same thing.
Mike Strawn always looks great. Darius Fountain, Deion Kane, another guy who looked great in camp. They all look great in camp. You're playing against yourself. So if a receiver looks great in camp, you can also flip that and say, man, our corners suck.
Right.
You know, you're playing against yourself. So I don't trust anything I see in camp anymore, not anything.
But I'm just, so I guess maybe I'm moving towards what you said last week, and this is kind of my point. You said if Ballard comes into my office and I'm Irsay and he wants to draft down, he's fired, get your stuff and get out.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to think, well, I'm with you on that, unless I don't love Will Levis, unless I don't love Anthony Richardson, because I got to believe the top two guys are going to be gone. Somebody's going to draft and move up to 3. And you got so many freaking holes. How do you take a roster? See, you shouldn't have the freaking job as Ballard if you, in your 6th year, you don't have a quarterback, you don't have weapons, and your roster is 32nd. That's where this whole thing is. The previous years building up to this, you shouldn't have a freaking job if that's where your roster is in year 6 and you're 8 games or 9, whatever it is, under 500 in terms of your record. It drives me nuts.
And the thing that I don't like about trading back is that stacking mediocrity is not a way to build a champion. We've seen a championship team built here. You draft Harrison, and 2 of these guys were Tobin. Harrison, Tarek Glenn, Manning, Edge. 4 first-round picks in a row.
What was Matt? What was what's his face? Freeney and Mathis. What were they? Mathis.
Freeney was a 1.
Yeah.
Mathis was
later.
3rd
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where the Colts have missed. How many? You said edge rusher. How many edge rushers do you got to take?
Yeah.
And then how many do you got to pick up in a draft or in free agency?
We love this guy, and we think he's undervalued. We can't believe he was still on our board. And then you find out why. Because Ben Bandigoot can't get off a block ever to save his life.
I asked Mike Lombardi. I think Mike Lombardi is really smart. Whatever anybody thinks about Mike Lombardi, fine. But Mike Lombardi, I had him on our show when I was doing the show here on 107.5. And I asked him, I go, all right, Yannick Ngakoue, everybody loves him. He's come in, he's been a social media star. His agent's really smart. Tell me what schools need help, blah, blah, pull this. Anyway, so he goes, here's what you're going to see out of Ngakoue.
Yeah.
He's going to run right by the quarterback. Yeah. He's going to look great, get off the line, and he just gets moved right by the quarterback on the quarterback's blind side. He's no factor. Next thing you know, the quarterback steps up. He's very comfortable, and your guy looks like he's giving this great effort, and he's 10 steps behind. And swear to God, it was like watching Luke Recker and A.J. Guyton play basketball at Indiana. I couldn't stop watching the ineptness. I couldn't take my eyes off it.
Yeah.
So, and then, okay, where's he? Is he not back?
He hadn't signed with anybody.
I know.
Yeah.
So this was a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
That got you 4-13.
But we got rid of Rocky Yassin. So it was kind of a trade that worked for no one.
But now you're looking for a corner.
Yeah.
And you wasted a 2nd-round pick on Rocky Yassin. You got a 1-year guy that contributed squat, as my buddy Jimbo Bodner, cop in Gary, used to say, he ain't done dick. And next thing you know, you got to draft another edge guy.
Yeah. You're always chasing.
It's chaos to me that this is acceptable for Jim Irsay and the operation there, and they keep this guy that's done all this.
And that's the problem with missing on a 1st-round pick or a trade like that.
Or 2nd-round picks.
You're constantly chasing.
Didn't you take Rocky Yassin because Quincy Wilson didn't work out?
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
Instead of, I think, this off memory, Deebo Samuel.
Yes.
I think it was right behind Rocky Yassin.
Oh, it's just, So again, I go back to this.
And you're not going to be perfect. And doing like this revisionist history with drafts, you can kill everybody in the NFL.
I agree with that.
But that's as fair as I'll be.
That is fair. But then you supplement it with worthwhile free agents. With free agents that aren't Matt Ryan, here 1 year gone. Carson Wentz, 1 year and gone. Rivers, 1 year and gone. Ngakoue, 1 year here and gone. And I'm sure there's more, and I just forget them.
Yeah.
Stephon Gilmore, 1 year. Okay, you got a 5th and 6th round pick. Great. But you got all these guys. Like, I would think if I'm signing a big money free agent, I got to get 2 to 4 years out of him. 3 years would be great. I'm giving him big money. He's supposed to be this guy. I remember telling all you people out there that there was a reason that Ngakoue was on his 6th team in 6 years or 6th team in 7 years. There was a reason for that. What's wrong with you people?
And they would tell you, like they'd say he's a Gus Bradley specific scheme guy.
Bite me.
But that seems not he didn't play very well within Gus Bradley's scheme, so he's going to have a tough time getting a job.
Who's the corner face on? He's a Gus Bradley corner.
Yeah.
The hell's
Back
a Gus
in
Bradley
Vegas.
corner? Oh my God.
Yeah.
And so I say to all of you that say, well, you got to let Ballard make his draft picks. Why? Anyway, revisionist history is so easy. So, all right, let's go back to it. We've had a few days now, so we got to go back. Any movement on your thought about what the Colts do at number 4?
What I want them to do is take Anthony Richardson, whether it's moving up to 3 or taking him at 4. That's what I'd like them to do, because he's got the highest ceiling of any quarterback in the draft. And I don't want, they're not going to run out Gardner Minshew for a whole season. They've got to put a young quarterback in place, and I don't think that Will Levis is a guy who has the traits that you would say his traits don't portend championships.
I agree. Now, I did have a discussion on text with our friend Rick Venturi, and Rick likes Levis more than most. He said, he goes, look, it's hard to win in Kentucky.
Right.
It's really hard. I mean, you're in the SEC, you got no history. He likes Levis more than most, which gives me a thought that, all right, well, I mean, that's a guy that's been in the league 35 years. I have no one I have more respect for, because no one does harder work than Rick. Right. So I gotta take that and put that in my mental bank. That's where I've shifted maybe a little bit on Levis and say, all right, Rick, if they pick him at 4, I'm going to go with Venturi's thoughts as opposed to him having a punchable face.
The problem with Levis, and this is also part and parcel with Rick, is that 7 out of 10 throws, he looks like Marino.
Yeah.
3 out of 10 throws, he looks like Wentz, which was Wentz's problem.
Yeah.
Is he could look great, and then he'd make 3 plays where he lost you the game. And you can't have that.
No. And then there's Hendon Hooker.
You got him.
If you move back, what did you say last time? Get 7 and 39? Is that what you were talking
7 and 38, yeah.
Could you get a great wide receiver at 7 and Hendon Hooker at 39 and be just as comfortable as having Anthony Richardson at 4?
No. 38 teams or 37 teams will have passed on Hendon Hooker. They could all be wrong. They've been wrong before. They were wrong with Russell Wilson. They were wrong with Tom Brady.
Lamar Jackson,
Aaron 32nd Rodgers. Overall. Yeah.
Mahomes. I mean, how many passed on him?
You know what? Aaron Rodgers is kind of it, and I would never argue against taking him where he was taken. Yeah. But that guy's a mess. That guy's a dramatic guy who's won 1 championship, and that's it. So I'm not, the Jets fans think that all of a sudden they're going to start hanging banners because they trade for Aaron Rodgers. Well, they built the Packers specifically around that guy, and they won once.
Oh, you're right. You're right. I think he was probably that big a bag coming out of college. I mean, why else? You know what I mean?
Sitting there by himself.
Yeah, I mean, it's like people just want to look at, okay, Rodgers ended up really good and it's great value in the draft, but why did he drop?
Yeah.
Peyton Manning didn't drop.
No.
Andrew Luck didn't drop. Why did he drop? Tom Brady didn't drop. He was where he was the whole time, and he got lucky to be picked.
Burrow didn't drop. There are guys who
Wilson didn't drop.
Like Darnold should have dropped.
Sure.
Josh Allen should have dropped beyond where he was taken. But
a lot of guys should have dropped.
And that's the fun of the NFL draft, is that nobody knows. We don't know. We don't know whether Anthony Richardson is going to be great or a Jamarcus Russell level bust. We have no idea.
I agree.
We try to watch, and we try to make it fun, and we make it fun for ourselves, and maybe we get it right more often than Chris Ballard, which really doesn't seem to be that hard to do.
When you look at the Colts, all right, we can move on and whatever, but when you look at them, where's the hope?
Oh yeah,
where's the hope?
That's what Jim Irsay wants. Hope has got to come calling into his office, or his head is going to explode.
And right now, you can tell me about Jonathan Taylor. Okay. But that's not real hope.
But that's kind of the fun of the Anthony Richardson thing.
Yes.
Because that, if you've got Richardson and Taylor, holy cow, what do you do with that? How do you defend that? Will Levis, Jonathan Taylor doesn't fill me with excitement.
Lamar Jackson doesn't fill you with excitement with Jonathan Taylor.
He would for 12 games until he's on the shelf.
He would be
riding around in a golf cart.
He would be hope. Down with hope, up with dope.
You could wrap hope around Lamar Jackson.
I think all right, putting it out to you guys watching. Who gives you more hope? Lamar Jackson and Jonathan Taylor, or Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor? Hope.
Now, but with this caveat, you got to give up a first-round draft pick for next year, and we're peeling $40 million of talent away from other positions in order to pay.
Yeah, we don't care. It's not our money. I don't care. I know what you're saying there, and you have to consider that.
That's 3 starting level players.
All right, but I'm just talking about if I were, and I was, a season ticket holder, and the Colts come a-calling to me, and they say, Dan, we really want you to re-up. So we've got Anthony Richardson, man, is he a blah, 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 and Jonathan Taylor. Or we've got the former MVP, and, we showed you we will spend money. We'll give capital because we know the importance of a quarterback here. We know the importance of playmakers, and we went and got the MVP. I think the second, latter, not the former.
That kind of thinking, maybe this would be a better execution of the flawed thinking that absolutely tanked this franchise before 1995. They went out and tried to get star value, and they wound up paying for what had been instead of what's going to be.
Yeah, all right, give me an example. Jeff George?
Jeff George is one, Eric Dickerson is another. You went out and got, hey, look, Indianapolis, what I brung you. It's like Lyndon Johnson in The Right Stuff. Looky here, Houston. Okay. I'm not as interested in fame as I am.
I'm not either.
Future production.
I'm not interested. I'm not the fame thing, but the dude is only 26. Yeah. Hendon Hooker's 25.
But he's 4 years removed from being the MVP, right? Counting.
Oh, this will be 4.
Yeah, right.
You people clamoring for a development quarterback that can't throw slants and hitches in high school. Well, you people, that's racist.
You people.
Seems racist. Why are you being
racist? He's wagging his finger at us. You people.
You boys, you.
Go on my smartphone. Keep talking to me twice a week.
Drats.
I'm going to leave a comment that perfectly articulates my frustration. Okay, you go.
Hey, and we, by the way, we reserve the right to change our opinion as often as we like, because we're smart people. We're not married to any one ideology.
Well, and this isn't a term paper. This isn't a research paper. We're not citing sources and going on for 26 pages about different kind of, if this, then that. We don't do that. We just say what's on our mind and we go. And sometimes what fuels what's in our mind, it changes from week to week.
If you were the Colts, and you can't make a trade, right? You can't make a trade because who are you trading? Like, I think somebody was arguing with you but discussing with you on our comments section in here. Yeah. About, Quentin Nelson, get rid of the big salaries, and you were sitting there going, okay, who wants them? Yeah. Who wants Darius or Shaq Leonard? Who wants that? 2 years ago, he didn't like football or wasn't in love. Last year, he gets hurt. Quentin Nelson, 2 years ago, was an all-pro. Last year, had his worst year, and got a bigger money deal. Who wants that?
Right. No one wants that. You can't trade guys. What they could do is trade 4 guys. Like the Eagles, they traded 4 A.J. Brown, and they got to the Super Bowl. You need an A.J. Brown level elite wide receiver, and the Colts do not have one, and they can say all they want to about Michael Pittman Jr. He's a possession receiver. He's a high-level number 2. Yeah. He's not a high-level number 1. He's not going to be a 100-catch, 1,500-yard guy. He's a 100-catch, 900-yard guy.
And the guy they just picked up was a 40-catch, 400-yard guy. Yeah. So he's not the answer.
No, you're not going to put him on the season ticket box.
I don't think so.
No.
And Alec Pierce, I think, has great hands, and I think Alec Pierce is going to be a good player. I do. I think he's going to be a good player. But again, are we talking about an elite level? Let's go make 1 million plays. Are we talking about Cooper Kupp? What are we talking about? I mean, we're just talking about a guy.
What always drove me nuts about Reich and all of the Reichettes is that it seemed like, other than Jonathan Taylor, they put guys in a position where they couldn't fail instead of putting them in a position where they could succeed. They were like short money bettors, you know?
Yeah.
What do you got? If you walk into a casino with 32 people and one of the 32 is going to leave a winner, you're competing against the other 32. Well, you got to bet differently than if you walk in with your own money and you start laying money on the chips on the table. And this is what the Colts need to do. They need to be the best of 32. They can't just walk in with 1,000, walk out with 1,100 and say, well, that was a hell of a day, honey.
Yeah.
You can't do that because you finished then 14th, and that's what the Colts seem to be bound and determined to do.
So then the question begs, how do they get better? How do between now and opening day, how do the Colts, get themselves a roster? Forget the excitement element, forget anything else. How do they get a roster that puts them, I'm not going to say as a favorite in the sorry-ass AFC South, but at least right there? Because right now, I don't even know where they fit in the AFC South.
If you look at the quarterbacks, right, the quarterbacks for the really good teams in the AFC, they're really good quarterbacks. And the bad quarterback teams tend to be bad teams. So I'd go out and fix a quarterback position. I'd do it in a damn hurry.
I would too. And again, that's where I'm not discounting Lamar Jackson. And again, the other thing, and we're going to say this until the draft, if you like Will Levis, draft Will Levis. Don't go around.
Right.
Don't. Right. You're paid a lot of money to figure this out. You've had a lot of time. It's not like Will Levis came out of nowhere, or C.J. Stroud came out of nowhere, or Bryce Young came out of nowhere. I'll give you Hendon Hooker may have come out of nowhere, and then he got hurt. So there may be some I don't know about him. Right. But the guys on the top, if you don't know, then you got to fire the guys that don't know and get some guys in there that 1,000% are gonna know.
And the raisins have got to become grapefruit.
Yes, and don't sweat it.
Right.
Don't sweat
You're going to get fired anyway,
Yeah.
dumbass. So do something. Ooh, that was a little rough. I started yelling and called a fella a dumbass in absentia. That's not nice.
Welcome. But look, to me anyway, the quarterback has to be. It was to a degree fake. I would like to go back, and maybe you can do this because I don't know that I can. Who are the wide receivers that Phillip Rivers was throwing to in the year where they actually won 11 games? Who were the right? It was Pittman a rookie then?
Yeah, Pittman was a
but
rookie.
He was, T.Y. was still there.
Yeah.
T.Y.
And he was good.
Tell you what, T.Y., you can make the argument in the last 5 years, the most valuable player is T.Y. Hilton. On the Colts, not in the league.
That kind of tells you where this team's been.
I know. But think about their record without him.
Yeah.
I mean, when whatever his neck thing was, they couldn't play dead.
Right.
They couldn't play dead without him. They haven't played dead without him.
And the record showed that.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah, so, all right, let's take Hilton out of it and take that position.
Yeah.
A big-time wide receiver. Whether you think Hilton was a big-time wide receiver or you thought he was just another guy, that's on you. But that's the position he played. And that's the position that they do not have. They did not have last year. Jeff Saturday or Frank Reich, whatever, it was going to ultimately be a catastrophe because they didn't have the most important freaking position. Both played quarterback, and they didn't have that position.
And that's what Parcells always said that, if you've got a bad roster, you're going to be a bad coach. And Reich had a bad roster, but I think he was also a bad coach, which isn't, or at least not a good one. I think he was mediocre.
Would you give a lot? Would you give more for a wide receiver? Meaning you'd give the fourth pick, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Would you?
I would.
I don't know who would be available. I'm just saying a big-time wide receiver. Would you give the fourth pick away on a trade and somebody to get a first-round pick back and get a great whoever you want to name?
That's a great question.
Oh.
Yeah.
You got to fix quarterback though. But
if those guys went, like if it went Young, Stroud, Richardson, and you were sitting at 4, maybe you do that. If you get a body back, so you're not like, well, he's going to develop. I don't want to hear any more about developmental projects at wide receiver. We're already going to have, it seems, a developmental quarterback. I don't want all of that developmental. I want winning. And there you're back to Lamar Jackson.
Well, I look, and again, they flamed out. Minnesota Vikings. They flamed out. They flamed out in the playoffs. Okay, and you can say Kirk Cousins, but you know who their wide receivers are? Justin Jefferson, who arguably is the best wide receiver in the league, and Adam Thielen's their second.
Yeah,
who's been a Pro Bowl, who's been really freaking good. Like, that's your second. Our second is, I guess, Alec Pierce, and our first is Mike Pitt. And that's all you need to know. You if you don't have those guys, you got squat in the modern NFL.
Yeah.
You do. Great, you got a running back. Yay, rah, good.
And the way it looks right now, it looks like they're going with 2 tight ends, a running back, 2 wide receivers, and you're back in the 1970s.
Yeah, it's great if those 2 tight ends are Gronkowski and Hernandez,
Kelsey,
I guess.
somebody,
Kelsey,
right.
Yeah. But who is it? Mo Alley Cox?
Yeah.
But he was a basketball player at VCU.
He was, and boy, what a pair of hands. Well, they are huge.
This whole
They're
thing is
gigantic.
huge. Everything is huge about it. I shouldn't say this whole thing. That didn't sound right. But yes, Alec Pierce. Yeah, Alec Pierce did not drop a lot of balls. Alec Pierce dropped the first pass thrown to him, and people say he dropped a lot of balls. Alec Pierce made more tough catches than he had drops.
Now in camp, you could watch that, and you saw
that
Pierce get his body around, get his feet down, make wild kind of circus catches. Great hands, great body, great hand-eye coordination. That you could watch, that you could see, and he was really good.
Okay, so he's got to get better. And this is the same thing I've been saying. Who has gotten better? Who is like, man, we drafted Dio, and now he's dominant. He got better, the Dio, the human hurricane. But what's the ceiling? We'll see. What's the ceiling on Kwity Paye? Is it to be Mathis and Freeney, or is it to be Kwity Paye?
If those guys are 7 or 8 sack guys, this franchise is lost.
If they're 10 to 15, now you got a chance.
Right. You protect your quarterback, you attack theirs. And if you can do both well, you win games.
Yes.
Lots of them.
Yes. And I just think that at the end of the day, the guys you drafted over the last 3 years, not being worth a damn or being mediocre, you've said it, you've built mediocrity here. That's the way you go south. All right, let's take the Rams. The Rams said, all right, we're mediocre. We got a couple great players, Aaron Donald, whatever, but we're going to go out and get Robert Floyd. We're going to go out and get Odell Beckham for the playoffs. We're going to go out and get Matt Stafford. Now, they sold their soul, but they got a Super Bowl.
Right. Are you happy with that?
Shit.
Like, if you could get one Super Bowl, but you knew that the next 4 years were going to be crap.
The next 4 years, we'll see, because the next year, the quarterback got hurt.
Yeah. I mean it's right, but I as a hypothetical, not necessarily replicating the Rams, although the Rams went deep into their pocket and got that thing fixed because they were opening up the stadium and they wanted to win LA, and they did, and Kroenke's a really smart guy, and Kevin Demoff's really smart too.
So basically what you just said was you can do that if you have really smart guys.
Yeah.
And you have I go back to something I asked you last week. How much would you trust Irsay? How much? All right, we talk about Lamar Jackson, like if the Colts offered him a contract, he's automatically coming, like it's only a one-sided deal. It's a two-sided deal.
Yeah, right.
He's got to want to come.
Let me ask you something about Irsay, because we never talk about it. How covetous of money do you think Jim Irsay is? How much is it about money we always paint him as a guy, all he wants is Lombardi trophies and hang banners. My ass.
Oh, really?
Billionaires want more money. They always want more money. There isn't a billionaire in the world who doesn't want more money, but we never talk about it because there's no evidence of it.
So you think that he would be more along the lines of unwilling to spend?
He might be.
He gave $24 million to Andrew Luck, and he told me that he did it because it was the right thing to do. Now, I don't believe that for a second.
There's got to be some kind of tangible
There's
explanation.
a backstory.
You've got 3 daughters. They've got kids. They've got husbands. There's no way. Like, $24 million is real money. I would have, if my father spent $24 million of my legacy money on a guy who was never going to play for me again, I'd have him committed. He'd have to go to a mental hospital. And there isn't a judge in the world who wouldn't side with him.
No, I'd be on the jury. I'd convict him. I'd be like, hey, all right, so was that what was that? And that's why I say, when you look
right thing to do.
My ass. He said that to me, and Jeffrey Gorman couldn't have pulled him away from me quicker. Come on, Jeff. You don't want to be around that guy. All I'm saying is, I don't know the answer, but all I'm saying is, in weird ways, he has shown he'll spend money. But to your point, even going back, who have they spent money on? You mentioned the guy, who's the big, LaRon Landry. You mentioned him. I just go back and thinking, they brought in, Grigson was trying like hell to bring in whatever he could. He brought in Andre Johnson. He brought in, and they spent money on those guys. They spent money, $25 million, which looks like a bargain now for a one-year deal with Rivers. What'd they spend for? Cost them $30 million, I guess, all told in this Matt Ryan debacle.
Yeah, right.
Well, it cost him a fortune for Wentz. He's been not afraid to do two things: listen and spend money.
You have to spend to 91% of the salary cap on a 4-year rolling average. Have to.
Yeah.
So they do.
Yeah. So they do. Yeah.
And they don't like play games with the cap. Like, you can play games with the cap a little bit with bonus money and that kind of thing. They deal cap is real cash with the Colts. And so it's kind of like, it's sort of like on Saturday Night Live, you had this Phil Hartman sketch where he was Ronald Reagan. And he's like, nice guy, well, nice with the Boy Scouts. And then he goes in the other room, and he's this hard-ass, crazy, fast-talking, lunatic.
Yeah.
I think there's some of that with Jim Irsay. I don't think that he's this, the collection he's put together, there's one thing in common, all of these things, all of these artifacts, they're one of a kind, and he gets to set the price. No two-of-a-kind stuff. These are one-of-a-kind.
You're talking about his guitar and stuff.
Yeah, guitars, the piano, the Hunter Thompson car, everything he's got. It's a one-in-one. And so he gets to say, no, I'm going to set the price at this, and people are either going to meet it or they're not going to buy it. That's a smart business guy. People think that Jim Irsay is some kind of doddering idiot who can't wait to spend millions of dollars. I don't see any evidence of that other than like just the way the guy comports himself with the media.
That's interesting because the narrative is, well, Jim Irsay's a great owner, he'll spend.
Yeah,
that's the narrative.
Yeah.
No, you're right. Maybe. All right, let me go this route with you then. It goes back to trust. Like you said it. If Ballard comes into my office, all right, what's your reaction? I'm not even saying what he's coming in to do. Like, when a clown comes into your office and it's going to be a clown. Yes. You're like, all right, send him in.
And recently, I've done that.
You're doing it. Like you're sitting here right now with me. You know what I'm saying? What's that?
I did this on our channel.
What?
This is on my channel.
Oh.
I didn't switch it to Two Big Heads, Two Big Brains.
Be all right.
Because we just got a donation, which we love, and another donation.
I see.
I was like, hey, how are we being... Oh.
I like it.
I knew it was... I told you it was going
to
happen.
You made $20.97 right there on me, on my back, on the back of my hard work.
If you have always wanted to get under Dan's skin, donating right now to this channel is... you're in. You're money.
No, let's all get fat. That's all right. I was wondering why those things came up green and yellow.
Yeah, those
and
are the donations. You know what? Let's switch it. All of you who are on right now, all 107 of you, we're going to be on Two Big Brains in just a second.
Why? We can put it on the channel later.
Yeah, that's true. All right, stick with us.
We'll put it on the
and then we'll put it on the channel. Yeah. And go to Two Big Brains, though, as a personal favor, over and above the donations. And subscribe to us on Two Big Brains.
Yeah, we want to get to 5,000 so we can make this even bigger. I thank you, Cash, man. Share it and tweet it. And do it from my account too, Cash. I'll hear it. Listen, everybody else close your ears. I'll give you my number. I'll give you my account number. How about this? Can I tell you what I've been doing?
What?
So Tuesday, when you were here, you probably didn't notice, but I've been exhausted. I am never tired. I always have energy, except at night. I have been for the last 3 days exhausted.
Really?
I mean, exhausted. Like yesterday, Lee and I had to go run a bunch of errands, and I'm like, I'll go, and I'm in the car, and I'm like this. So today I figured it out. So I got a handful of meds that I take. And I'm very honest about my life. I take my crazy meds that Dr. Rink told me every coach in America is on. So I take my Lexapro. I take my P meds, my Flomax. I take my statin, which is for your cholesterol.
Yeah.
Okay? And Dr. Rink gave me sleeping meds, Tridorozone or something like that. Well, like an idiot, I didn't separate and put the Tridorozone, the sleeping meds over here. So every morning at 7:30 when I wake up, I've been taking all my meds with a sleeping med in there. So like in the middle of my 9 to 11 show on Outkick, I'm sitting there going like this. So today I was getting ready to do it again. And I looked and I'm like, wait a second, there's 2 white pills. So I go, oh crap. And I've been doing it for the last 3 days. This is the level of stupid that you've been dealing with here.
Yeah, that's an explanation, though. Good that you figured it out.
Honest to God.
Just keep doing it for years.
I've been sitting there like, Lee, I don't know what the hell's wrong with me. Like the last couple of days, I'll turn like a baseball game on. I just sat and watched baseball for like 3 hours and fell asleep yesterday. If I fall asleep during the day, I got COVID. Or I got mono, or I got something, because I never.
You're not the kind of guy.
You're not. No, we're going. No. And so I did. I looked. I'm like, oh, how stupid can you be? Anyway, give more money to me to help my stupidity. All right. So bottom line. All right. Let's go to something else here now.
Yeah.
I would argue. Somebody asked me this morning on what show was it? A Columbus radio station. What's the vibe on the Pacers? And I'm not going to lie to you, since I haven't done my show in Indy and Halliburton's been hurt, I don't have a vibe for the Pacers.
No.
There's none now, right?
There's no juice at all. No. You hope that it comes with the draft, that you finally get a reason. Like
is there no juice because of injury? Like, would there be juice if Halliburton had been out there the last however many games?
I think if they had kept playing the way they played when they were like 23-17 or whatever, they were going to the playoffs, maybe. But I think that like something's happened. You'd be more like plugged into this than me. Something happened where kind of the town just sort of decided, I don't know whether it's internal with the Pacers, whether it's Bally Sports, where you got to go like over the top $20 a month to be able to watch these games. Out of sight, out of mind. They're really, really nice people. There's no like agitator who's gonna, like Lance Stevenson was the guy you kind of watched to see what Lance was gonna do. Like this is, to me, it's just a boring brand.
Yeah. All right. So this leads me to something that I learned yesterday. Did you know that the Big Ten basketball and football is no longer on ESPN?
Yes.
Okay. Did you know that NBC took it over?
No.
Yes. Did you? Fox has it too, but NBC has Big Ten football. So Big Ten football, listen to this. Big Ten football is going to be on NBC. Saturday night big game is going to be on NBC.
Yeah.
Do you know where basketball is going to be? Almost exclusively next year?
Oh, don't tell me it's over the top.
Peacock.
Oh, no.
Peacock Network. They're having a Tuesday, two Tuesday doubleheaders. You're not going to see, like when we were doing it, or Robbie was doing it this Super Tuesday, which they totally, my last 2 years at ESPN, they started moving it to ESPN2, or, you know what I mean? So now, for you Indiana Purdue fans that want to watch what you're used to watching, you've got to pay for Peacock Tuesday nights, and then Saturday it's going to be on, I think it's Fox has the Saturday.
Yeah.
Or if they have it, it's going to, I don't think there's still an NBC Sports. There's going to be an occasional big game on NBC, but it's going to be Tuesday night, midweek, Big Ten Network, or NBC, or Fox 1, I guess.
That greed is going to finally grow to the point where it becomes sort of this onerous thing that people are going to be repelled by.
Do you think it affects the Big Ten?
That?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do too. People will tell me, like my group text with Tarico and all these guys are telling me, Big Ten's too big, fan base too strong. I say maybe in football. A lot of Big Ten football is going to be on Peacock.
And it does depend, like Ohio State, Michigan, too big.
Yeah.
But here,
no,
not so much.
No,
not in football, and really, what we learned in COVID and what we should have learned from COVID is that we'll turn the channel in our lives and move on, and we really don't notice that things went away. We're fine. It's kind of like the Truman Show, that Jim Carrey movie, where the Truman Show goes away and people pick up a book. Okay, yeah, that's over. I'm going to do this. And if you push people toward that, you're going to erode kind of that core fan that you rely upon. At least Peacock is affordable, and it's like $5 a month, $4.99
I'm
a
not
month,
sure.
something like that.
But I'll tell you this.
$20 a month, I'm not doing.
But Peacock is streaming. One thing I've learned about streaming, because we're like you, we stream shows. When you get streaming, if you turn the channel, like here comes the 8-minute timeout, and it's hard to get back to that stream.
Yeah, it is.
And that's a big difference than just,
Click.
Well, in Comcast, I got that little arrow button that puts every station that I just watched on the bottom, and I just go to it.
Right.
And it's the same as streaming now.
Right.
It's I don't know.
Let me ask you this. What the hell did they do with all this money?
Man.
Who does what with the money at the Big Ten? You got the Big Ten president he's gone now to the Bears, but he had all the certificates behind his desk when he did the Zooms and whatnot. Where's the money go? Who gets that money?
Okay, so there was a guy that was running for the Board of Trustees in Indiana.
Yeah.
And his platform was, and he got mad at me, his platform was the money from the Big Ten Network should not go on campus. It should only go to the sports programs. And I said, well, I don't agree with that.
No.
I don't agree with that at all. I think the money that comes in, like you could put Trace Jackson Davis and Jalen Hood-Schifino, you put them on a G League team and no one's watching.
Right.
You put them with Indiana across. So I disagree with that. But the idea for most places is it's going back into sports. So what I've been told is that's why you see a new baseball stadium in places. That's why you see a new women's softball. That's why all of a sudden the concession stands and around the amenities at stadiums is so much better. That's why you see so much renovation. Even Indiana's Cook Hall, I think, is going to have some renovation. I mean, you see so much of this. Purdue, what they do, $100 million a few years ago, and they're doing more now, and it's all Big Ten Network money. So that's the answer I always get, the renovations you see in sports programs.
So we need to be architects or contractors or construction guys. They're getting paid because we're watching.
Yeah. God, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, but, people immediately think, well, that money's going to coaches. I'll never forget this. When I signed at West Virginia, I got a lesson, and it was a $500,000 contract. So it's like, wow, this guaranteed $500,000. Then my brother's a lawyer, and he's like, read it again. The school was giving me $150,000.
Yeah.
The TV and all the other crap was giving me $350,000. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, I go year one, and they decide that they're going to fire me. They don't owe me the $350,000. The school owes me the $150,000.
Yeah.
It's not. People think, well, the coaches' salaries are so much through the institution. No, they're not.
Yeah.
I mean, there's enough. I mean, it's more than I make or people I know make. But the majority of it is from ancillary, Adidas money or the Big Ten Network money from over here, not from the actual school.
Okay.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Although the buyouts, I don't know, somebody's getting paid a lot of money to walk away, and that's crazy.
The buyouts are, when Calvin Sampson got $750,000 to leave Indiana, I thought to myself, what a country. This is the greatest. This is the greatest.
Let me ask you this about Indiana. This was infesting my head. Because I was on a radio show yesterday where the topic came up about Indiana and where it sits and how we view Indiana one way, recruits view it another way. How do you sell Indiana today to recruits? If you were the head coach, how do you sell the program?
Number one, I'm selling it and look at across the board on Fox and others, who's the most popular team. And Indiana is one of the 3 most popular teams in terms of ratings in sports. I sell the building, I sell the enthusiasm. History's getting hard to sell.
Yeah.
History, I did not realize, but UConn's got 5 national championships, and basically they're all from 1999.
Yeah.
We've had 1 Elite 8 since 1999. We've had 1 Elite 8 since 1993. Like, I try to tell people, well, you suck, you played on bad teams. I go, wait a second, I captained and started on an Elite 8 team. You know how many Elite 8 teams are actually where I've been at Indiana? Like 10.
Yeah.
Like, 5 national champions, a few other Final Fours, and then, we suck. I mean, let's be honest. Yeah. So I got to sell what is now, which is unbelievable crowds, unbelievable enthusiasm, unbelievable facilities. You're not going to find a better place to go to school, all told. NIL money is probably the first thing I would probably sell, because everybody, I had a guy tell me that and I don't know if this is legal or not, and if I'm busting news, then I'm busting news, but hell, I was told that Woodson calls up those Hoosier hysteric guys and says Jalen Hutchins needs another $100,000. We got to get it to him. Now, I don't know whether that's legal, illegal. I have no idea. That's all alleged. It's alleged. I was told that. I don't know if it's true. I want to make that very clear, because I have had issues before, been suspended for things of this nature. I'm just telling you what I was told, that's what is going on in NIL, and I was told that about other schools as well.
Yeah.
So if you have that, Anthony Leal made enough money to pay off his sister's student loans.
Yeah.
So that guy's making a ton of green. Which means Trace Jackson Davis making a ton of green.
Yeah.
That's what I'm selling.
Sell the money.
I think you sell the money, and you sell the opportunity, and you sell the enthusiasm, the fan. You know what the average crowd is in college basketball?
What?
Less than 6,000.
Really?
Across the board. Less than 6,000.
It is, when you go to Assembly Hall and you look up and you see people in the balcony and they got students where they are, and it is a very, different. Very impressive deal.
That's what you got to sell. Because here's how I look at it. When I came into college in 1981, if you'd have said to me, well, the last national champion was in 1953, I'm like, huh? Yeah. So that's what, 28 years?
Dan, this is the program where Don Schlunt played. Yes. That's what people are doing now. Right.
So now a kid coming in, 13 plus 23, I don't know, that seems like 36 to me. So from 1980 or 81 when I came in, 36 years backwards?
Yeah.
What the hell's that, 33, 40?
That's unbelievable.
45?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, remember, you could be the next Don Schlunt. Really? Like Steve Alford, well, he's that guy that coaches. I think he recruited me in Nevada. We're selling the history.
That old guy with young hair.
Yes. Selling history is done.
Yeah.
And I was never the guy that believed that. Never. I was always the guy, hey, screw you guys. We got 5 banners up there. And then I'm looking like, wait a second, UConn has 5 since 99?
Yeah.
What the fuck are we doing?
This is another question that was asked me, and I had thought about it a little bit. Is UConn a blue blood?
Yes.
They have to be, right?
Have to be. Okay, let's take the blue bloods. Kentucky's won how many since 99? 2? Maybe?
Yeah, I think if 1 or 2. Cal's won 1.
Cal's won 1. And Tubby won 1 in the 90s.
Yeah.
And Pitino won 1 in the 90s, so they've won 1.
Right.
So, okay, there's 1. Louisville maybe won 1, 13. I don't care if it got taken away. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just going through your blue bloods. Kansas has won 2.
Is Kenny Payne still the coach at Louisville?
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Yeah, the first year. Yeah, went in a lifetime. But so Kansas has won 2.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Right? So you're talking about 5.
Yeah.
5. Yeah. UCLA's won none in that time. Indiana's won none, 1 Final Four. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head on who's
UCLA had that run, though, where they went to like 3 straight Final Fours with Allen.
Mm-hmm. Right. Didn't win. Russell Westbrook was on that team. Duke's won. North Carolina's won.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to give those guys credit.
But it's so like the transfer portal has made things so wacky. Indiana, with all the guys they've lost, if that medical red shirt isn't approved for Xavier Johnson, they'll have lost all 5 starters from last year, and they could wind up being a better team next year because of the guys they bring in through the portal.
But the opposite of that is UConn.
Yeah, right.
UConn lost 1 guy, the Gaffney kid at Florida Atlantic, and they win national championship going away.
Right.
Like standing on their head. Their game was going to, So you're right, though. Indiana, remember this, people. We're going to celebrate, and the Hoosier hysterics are going to have that thing, and Who's next year's star that stands out there like Cody Zeller and TJD in front of their adoring masses? He went 13-9.
Yeah.
I mean, get out of here. I mean, but 13-9 is good at Indiana because we stinks. And they're talking about being mad at Painter. You can't be mad at Painter.
No.
What are we mad at Painter for?
Who are you going to replace him with? First of all, he's a really, really good coach. Second of all, who's going to come in and do better than Matt Painter? No one.
I saw, Dusty Mays, the new guy for Indiana, blah, blah, blah. Same people that said Sean Miller or Archie Miller was the right guy. Just let it play out.
Right.
Like, I love Dusty Mays. I think he's great, and I hope he is. I asked him yesterday on my show, on my morning show, I go, did you put it out for Indiana in your new contract? And assuming he's telling me the truth, he said no. So what does that mean? Doesn't mean he can't come, but it means that somebody's going to have to buy out he's going to have to buy out his contract.
Is there a buyout in it?
Oh, yeah.
Like, would FAU think, this guy is so spectacular that we're hiring, that he's going to be coveted, and I'm
he also said he didn't turn down another job. He said he did not.
Oh, he did not?
I've got no job offers from anybody.
Really? Well, he's going to get them.
That's what I thought.
Somebody's going to pay him a lot of money to coach basketball.
That's what I thought. But he said there was no out for Indiana. Now, again, why you don't necessarily have to tell me, and I'm a big believer in lying to the media. I could care less whether they, I'm just saying, why would I care? If, like I lied to Greg Doyle. Is Alford coming? Yeah, he's coming. It's a done deal. I don't care whether you, that's me, I'm a bad guy. Bad guy. But
you know what? You own it.
I own it.
And now that you've owned it and you've said that, anybody who then in the media trusts you, it's on them.
Don't do it.
This is their
fault.
Don't
trust me. Don't. Now, if you're a media guy, don't trust me for inside info because I don't understand the value for me in giving it.
Right.
I go back to what we talked about last time. The guy who got the email, the former player manager that got the email, the next thing you know, they sent it to Rick Bozich. I don't get that.
Right.
So there you go.
Yeah, what would be I thought about that subsequent to us talking about it, and I was like, why would?
Right.
What is the point?
Who cares?
Not that it's got to be. Yeah, there doesn't always have to be a quid pro quo.
Right.
But what is gain?
Yes.
Even for Rick. Like, Rick's not going to be able to put that on a resume. This isn't going to be more money for Rick.
I guess
nobody wins. But you thought, hey, this is something I'm going to do. I didn't get it.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
I never get it. I've never gotten it. I've never gotten the whole, like, I got to run and be the source for, Slappy Johnny, the media guy.
I got this in St. Louis immediately when I was hired, and that's when I knew that I was going to be coming back to Indianapolis at some point. Here's what you got to do. You got to make friends with Dan Caesar with the Post-Dispatch, because he writes a weekly media column. I was like, what do we care? What are you kidding? You think that radio listenership is going to be adversely affected from a guy who prints his thoughts on, like, torn down trees? This antiquated media is going to rat out our antiquated media, and somebody's going to care? What's the matter with you? And I thought, well, this is
the wrong
idea.
I
can't explain this to my boss. This isn't gonna go good.
You were with me you hired me, you saved my life. The Kent Sterling room was over here. But Doyle wrote that hit piece on me last, whatever it was, July, how nobody listens to me. I got my biggest bonus ever after that. When I left, I'm like, wow. I think, because I never paid attention, as you can attest. I told my agent, I go, I think I got a bonus coming. Can you check that out? He's like, bonus? He goes, you got the biggest one you ever had. I go, really? He goes, yeah. He goes, you're 8-8 or 9-8 or 10-8 or whatever the hell it was. He goes, that's on the upper tier of your bonus structure. I go, really? Oh, shit.
All heat is good heat.
Oh, right again, Greggy. You and Dana. Find another kid that says I called him a meth head and let's go. Who cares? Jesus. Stay away from that. I saw you back off of that.
This is on my channel now. The other channel, you can say whatever the hell you want.
Yeah, you got $21 right there coming in. Shoot, I don't want to screw that up. But to your point, it is interesting though. To your point, like how I grew up, and I know you did. I read the newspaper cover to cover, man.
Yeah.
And now
Well, we were reading guys like Royko and
Bernie Lincecum was in there.
Jerome Holtzman. We were
Nightingale.
reading real guys.
Yeah.
And not that, like back in the Star had real guys. They had a sports section that was vibrant and interesting, and whatever we thought of these guys and what they wrote or whatever, with Robin Miller and Bill Benner and David Benner for a time and Mike Chappell. Those were guys, Mark Monteith,
Wayne
Conrad
Fusion.
Wayne. Those guys carried weight in the community, and then all of a sudden managers got paid to reduce and try to present something that wasn't an embarrassment. And that's why print's dying. When I was in St. Louis, Gannett bonused, and it was like a $500,000 bonus, if I remember correctly. The person who ran the Post-Dispatch, because that person had fired correctly a whole bunch of people. That person had reduced the expenses to the extent that she earned a $500,000 raise, or he or somebody, not identifying anyone. And you get bonus for firing people. Can you imagine?
You get a big bonus for firing people to reduce cost.
Yes. Yeah. Here you go.
That's a hell of a business model.
Here's a bag of cash that you took from these people who now don't have jobs.
Do you think, and this is so old that maybe it doesn't matter, but at Indiana, I used to get newspapers from every Big Ten school.
Yeah.
I got them every day from East Lansing. But we also got the Star, and we got the News, which was the afternoon paper.
Right.
Were they? I don't know the answer to this. Were they direct competitors?
They were owned by the same company,
people.
so it was just a different edition.
One was an afternoon paper, one was a morning paper.
Yeah.
Okay. Because what my point was going to be, does the lack of competition hurt? Now, there's probably more competition now because I can announce whatever, if I went back to, let's say I became the head coach at Indiana, I wouldn't worry about doing a post game with these idiots. I would do it with Indiana. I would say our post game press conference is going to be sponsored by an Indiana, where I'm not sitting in front of media guys. I'm doing it through Indiana University, our own thing. And then you guys, the media, can hear what I'm saying and take it from there. But I wouldn't go sit in front of a bunch of inconsequential people. I would sell Indiana more.
I think this is our finest episode ever.
I do too.
All right.
I do too. And Kent made money, so we feel good about that.
I'll buy you a sandwich and a beer.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
And this will be available for those of you who want to watch the entire thing at Two Big Brains as soon as I get it up there.
See that? See, he thinks I don't know what he did. He thinks I don't know that he was a little dry this week. He wasn't so flush in cash, so he was going to put this on, use me to get $21 out of you people. I know what he was doing. Don't think I don't know. Yeah, that's I don't have my wallet with me.
Yeah. Had that happen in Bloomington this week, had lunch at Nick's. So I'm having lunch with, and I think you know the guy, and but I won't mention his name. I get the check. I give the card to the server. She brings it back. He's there the whole time. He hadn't go to the bathroom. I sign the thing and give it back to the server. And he goes, "Oh, wait, no, I'll get it." And I said, "I got to explain to you the way this works. Once the card comes back, the bill has been paid, and your ability to take it, and I think you know this, has lapsed."
Well, was he 6? If he was over the age of 6, I think he knew it.
He brought a guy who was job shadowing him.
No.
And so I was like, "Hey, you're learning from a pro. Keep your hands in your pockets when the check comes." I expensed it anyway, but
doesn't matter.
Something to lord over the guy.
Can I tell you one last thing about that? I lost for the second time in 6 weeks my license, credit card, and debit card. Yep.
Again?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's not easy.
No, that's not easy. No. I tell people, being stupid is hard. And twice in 6 weeks. Lost it once door dashing when I fell down. Hit a curb, fell down. And then the other day, I was doing yard work. And I had it in my pants, and I haven't been able to find it. I went to the Ace Hardware to get a bunch of stuff. They didn't have it. I looked all around. Twice.
Well, you know what? $22. I'm going to contribute $22.98. I think that's what it is to your recovery fund.
I bought a wallet. It cost me $13. It has Velcro. I told my wife, give me the cheapest, crappiest, because I'll lose it. And I'm ready to go. As soon as the cards get here, it'll be a week. No. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.
Stupid.